Let me start by saying that I'm super excited that you guys are here with me, and I'm so grateful, and I'm very, very, very excited and nervous to do this. But so for those who don't know, my name is Vero. I am a life coach and I help men and women regulate their emotions so that they can navigate life's waves and design the life of their dreams. Let me admit Regina. The name of this project is Four Steps to Emotional Freedom. So let's start. All right, so before we dive in, I just want to go over our quick agenda for today. We're going to go about 35 to 45 minutes on the presentation, and then we can do a quick Q&A. So get your journals, your water, pens, take notes, write down any questions that you might have, and then make sure that you stay until the end so that you can get your free gift. And if you have any questions, we have time for that. We'll go over and we'll go through how you can take the next steps if you're interested in changing and transforming your life. So let's talk about reaching emotional freedom to create the life of your dreams. But before we do, let's talk about where you are now. So what does your life look like? What do you feel like are those patterns that you keep repeating over and over again and that you're unable to change? You can start writing these down and then we can talk about it at the end in the Q&A questions. So think about your life in terms of what you feel is actually the problem, where you're stuck. You may have like a control problem. One second. Oops. There you go. I think somebody's trying to come in. Sorry about that. All right. So you may have like a control problem where you think that if you don't do the task, you don't delegate, you need to control everything or nothing gets done, or you have a hard time setting boundaries in an aspect in your life. How does that affect your life? Where are you unable to say no and why? Do you snap and get easily triggered when someone says something you don't agree with? Do you go about life with like low satisfaction and very irritable all the time? Do you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see? And then how many of you actually want to have healthy relationships with yourself and others? How many of you want to learn how to regulate your emotions? How many would like to have new habits and be more present and enjoy life more? And how many would like to learn to love yourself fully? So I have struggled with everything that I just said, the whole list, and more. I had PCOS, I had hormonal problems, insulin resistance, overweight, lack of self-esteem. So what's my story? I was born in an abusive household in Venezuela. I was helpless, dissociated. I had low self-esteem. I was always upset and lonely. My brother used to abuse me physically and emotionally, and I had a couple of sexual assaults, and I had zero protection. Every time I would try to say it to my parents or to authority people, it would be either my fault or they didn't believe me. So, that for one side. Then in Venezuela, it's all about looks. So my mom would give me at 11 slimming pills with amphetamine because I was overweight with a few 10 pounds overweight or things like that. Or she would take me to the doctor to cut my stomach. So, and also compare me with other bodies. Like, oh my gosh, she would look at a model and she would say, wow, like I wish you had that body. And it was nothing to do with my physiology or anything. So that taught me to invalidate myself and to not like my body. And so I wasn't taught how to do that. I was taught the opposite. And that's when I became rebellious. So I had a surgery and I started just not accepting it anymore. So I did everything I could to um, annoy my parents, right? I started smoking cigarettes. I started drinking alcohol, smoking weed. And then after a while with therapy, I understood that that was actually my cry for help. And that was actually the only way to protect myself. So I was actually rejecting the abuse by being rebellious. It wasn't like I just decided to be the bad daughter. So then I migrated twice. I spent 5 years in Paris where I did college. And then I've been in America for 8 years. I definitely have PTSD from the Venezuelan dictatorship, being in the protests and getting people killed right next to you and running from your life, and your parents being taken everything they have and trying to build everything again, and just because of their political views, um and also the PTSD comes from, you reach the top of the ladder in your country and then you have to start over from scratch. So now you're a waitress or you're an Uber driver, you're doing things that you don't actually want to be doing. So that takes a very big hit on your self-esteem as well. And so my pattern back then was just waiting for somebody or something to save me. Like, I don't know, a boyfriend with a credit card that wanted to marry me. And of course, that never happened. Oh, 1 second. There you go. And so during COVID, I was living in New York alone and I was super scared and I had a massive epiphany. I was in a point where the world was falling apart and I had broken up with my boyfriend that was gonna marry me and give me the green card. And I actually had my visa. I needed to renew my visa. So it was like, do I stay? Do I leave? And then I had broken up with my best friend of 22 years. I had a very toxic boss that would just call and yell at me 24/7. We just had switched from office on-site work to remote work. And so there were absolutely no boundaries, no days off, no times where he wasn't allowed to text me and yell at me. So, I realized that if I kept on, I hit rock bottom, and if I kept on going like that, I just didn't want to live in that moment, So I realized that if I didn't change, then I would stay stuck forever. And the only way that my life was going to change was if I changed. So I couldn't control where I came from. I couldn't control my circumstances, but what happened to me in the past. But what I could control is how I dealt with it. And that's exactly what I did. And so I went on this journey of transformation. And my life looks very different today. Today, I'm in a healthy, loving relationship with a partner who loves me and I love him, and we challenge each other and we work on things together. I have an amazing relationship with my body. I have the health I always wanted. I love my body even when it fluctuates. I move my body every day. I regulate my emotions and I feel free in my body. I don't feel trapped anymore. And I'm not telling you any of this to brag. I'm just telling you this because I know that some of you struggle with the similar things. And if you are one of those people that feel desperate and just don't know how to transform, then I want to share my tools with you and exactly what I did for my transformation. So what initially happened for me was I started my certification and I got the tools and I decided that I wanted to dedicate my life to help others transform their lives like I did. So I've helped dozens of people get to where they want to be. And here are some results that I've gotten from my clients. So when Maria came into the program, she didn't know how to make decisions. She got triggered from other people's actions all the time when she didn't agree. She didn't know what her patterns were. She used to blame external factors for how she felt. And then after the program, she learned to control her emotions better, to stop arguing endlessly all the time. And just now she picks her battles. And she learned to go from the automatic to the conscious and think before she snaps. She also learned that she learned to see that her triggers were related to her expectations of others. And now she's firm in making decisions and has way more clarity in what she wants and needs, including setting boundaries and saying no. Jessica came to the program with a terrible work environment. There was like a lot of toxicity in her job, and she just didn't feel like she deserved to be happy and deserved pleasure. And she let her healthy habits go. And so after the program, she was able to change her attitude and handle the hard situations. And now she looks into the positive parts of her job. And she was able to enjoy her life again and distance other people's behaviors with her self-worth and value. And then Natalia was a crazy case. Natalia has two autistic kids with huge stress levels. She lived this life where it was tantrum after tantrum, and she felt like she didn't have the drive to keep on living. She didn't have a personality. She never had fun anymore. And then after the program, she feels now emotionally balanced and like she can control her environment, and the world doesn't crush her anymore. And she learned not to engage in her son's outbursts and ways to de-escalate them by prioritizing her self-care and the 4 steps. So now that you understand a little more about me and where I come from and the results that I help my clients get, let's talk about how we do it and what is the mechanism. How do people actually break free from the emotional prison that they're living in? Give me 1 second. So emotions are good for you. They're there for a reason. For example, fear is there to protect you. If you see a string, 1 second, let's mute here. Just mute. There you go. So yeah, it's there to protect you. If you see a snake, fear is gonna give you fight or flight, and then that's gonna save your life. But then if you come closer and you see that it's a string, then you realize that it was overreaction, and then you can move on with your life. But if you let your emotions control you, then the whole day is going to be ruined because you had an emotion that you don't know how to deal with. So this program is about learning how to deal with your emotions. For example, another example could be like envy. You are jealous of somebody that you just saw on social media because they have something, and you have this negative feeling. And so when you switch that around into, okay, maybe I want that, instead of judging yourself and judging the other person, and you work into getting what you want instead of making it a negative experience. So now let's talk about the 4 steps that I have in the emotional freedom process that helps you create healthy habits step by step by making them non-negotiables. And of course, this is personal to everyone. What works for me is not going to work for everyone. And you don't have to do it in any particular order. These are the things that you need to work on if you want to change. So sometimes you spiral between the 4 of them, which is the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And sometimes, you know, you need more work in something and you have to address what you have to address, but you need to work on the four aspects. And then you create like a puzzle. It's puzzle pieces that create this image that comes together, and you need all the pieces to become whole and happy and free. So the first one is the emotional transformation. So when I was going through this, before I changed my life, I had no idea. I wasn't aware of my patterns. I used to snap at my loved ones, and I got easily triggered for the tiniest things. And what I needed to do to help my client, and I help my clients to do in the program, is go through these things. So trauma is like the biggest thing. It's a big part of why people struggle and stay stuck. So being aware of it is like key to regulating your nervous system. Like what cycles, what patterns are you recreating? And that affects the quality of your life. So then you basically, for me, regulating my nervous system, what works is affirmations, validations, not looking for validation externally, but internally, and creating confidence in myself, doing what I fear the most. For example, speaking in public, which I'm doing right now. You know, challenging myself and trusting my intuition. And then very important is, what does self-love and self-care looks like for you? So for me, for example, is shifting the instant gratification for the long-term benefits. So that looks like, instead of you know, going and eating after I got a hard day and stuffing my face with McDonald's and ordering the whole menu, now I go on a walk, I meditate, I do breath work, and then that helps me in the long run. Or even like doing a healthy snack, a healthy cake that's not gonna inflame me or give me just a bad time afterwards. Then we go on number 2, the spiritual transformation. So these are the things that made the biggest difference. If you want to transform your life, the spiritual part is like super, super important. And there are many different components. I have a bunch of cats here, sorry. So let's go over what the ones that I use for myself. So, and everyone would have different ones for themselves, right? So for me, it's mindfulness. I do meditation, which is considered the gym of the mind. And you basically do all the reps every day just by I do 10 minutes a day, or sometimes I go and do breath work and cold plunges. It depends on what is fun for you or what you can do. And so basically it gives you emotional intelligence. It gives you emotional freedom. Like you can automatically, little by little, react better. You don't even realize it, and you react better. Reading, that gives you neuroplasticity. So you're always learning. And that also does the same thing as the mindfulness, as anything that you choose to work on the mind. Gratefulness, that's like key. And that also changed my life like super fast, which basically our brains are made to, for example, you're pregnant and you see all the pregnant ladies now, or you bought a red car and now you only see red cars. So that's exactly what your brain does when you switch, and instead of focusing on the negative thoughts and the negative experiences or what you have, because we all have good and bad stuff that happen, you focus on the positive, and then the next day your brain is only going to focus on the positive, and you're going to have a better experience throughout the day. And also not fixating on the things that you can't control. And that is so freeing, because when you're always resisting or dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, you can't enjoy the moment. And that just steals away your awareness, your being here, you're enjoying with your family or with your partners, etc. So that one is a very big one as well. Number three, so the physical transformation. We aren't involved enough to the sedentary life that we live on right now. So there's huge shifts that come when you take care of the physical, and I can see it in all of my clients. There's a big improvement when they add the workouts in their routines. So I went on a trip to Latin America on a 6-month trip right before COVID with my boyfriend that was gonna give me the green card. And he paid for everything. He got severance, and it was supposed to be, the dream thing. Like you're being paid and you're just to have fun for 6 months. And I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I was out of shape. I wasn't able to be present. I couldn't hike. Even sightseeing was challenging mentally and physically. And I was like in a constant state of inflammation because, I'm trying all these things in different countries, and I had so many intolerances that I didn't know of. So, the gut and the brain are strictly related, and that's also key to your mental health. So that had a big impact in why I couldn't enjoy it. But what I did to revert all of them, including the hormonal issues that I do not have anymore, was, and this is again my process and some of my clients' process, is move daily, at least 15 minutes a day, every day, not using food as an emotional blanket, which is very common. And you can basically choose food that loves you back and still enjoy eating and have pleasure, because this is not about taking the pleasure away. Doing medical exams, so knowing what you're lacking of, knowing what you need more of, and then hacking your system. And going out in the sun in the morning, which basically gives you melatonin and serotonin, which are good hormones for you to sleep better and happy hormones. And then prioritizing sleep, so 7 to 8 hours every night and sleeping well. And last but not least, the mindset transformation. I used to drive on guilt. I was so hard on myself. And this is something we work deeply in my program as well. We can switch our attitudes so easily, and we don't know. We just need to know like what is blocking us and what our limiting beliefs are, and the patterns and the mindsets that we need to basically unlearn. So many of my clients have like the biggest blocks are in the mindset. So one of the things that we do in the program that's very life-changing is rewriting the way that you talk to yourself. So for me, I have my mother's voice telling me I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't dream big, I can be ambitious, that's not good, you need to be intelligent, not ambitious, like things like that. And so when you rewrite that narrative, it's so freeing, and you allow yourself to do anything that you want without judgment. So it's amazing. And that comes with, of course, being compassionate with yourself. So treating yourself like you would treat a kid or your best friend. Then there are some patterns, like for me, the two biggest ones were the know-it-all versus learner. So I come from a household where they're all PhDs and they're super scientific and atheists and all this. So they believe in data and in what's a fact. And so they don't see it as there are many truths in the world. There's only one. And if you don't agree, you're stupid. Literally. So, with my certifications, I learned that there are different truths, and you can come down of the ladder of inferences and understand why people think the way they think, and just realize that you can learn from that, even if you don't change your mind or change the other person's mind, which is not the goal. Nobody wants to be around people that are like that. You want to be heard. You want to have a fruitful comfort conversation, not somebody that's trying to change your mind, right? So that's a big shift. Then the victim mindset versus protagonist. So you can take drastic responsibility for any situation always. There's always something to improve. There's always something that you did in a situation that you can do better, that you can learn from. And I always give the poker card game example. So you're dealt this hand and it sucks, but you can still win the whole game. Like you can win the game and get all the money. So it's not about bluffing. It's about doing the best you can with the hand that you were dealt. So that's coming out of the victim mindset. Everything happens to me. You know, I'm never going to change. I'm never going to get paid like an American person gets paid. Well, guess what? I am, and I am a homeowner and I'm a business owner, and all of those things that I thought were just in my mind. They weren't true. It was me just blocking myself. Limiting beliefs. For me, the biggest one was I don't deserve. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve, I'm guilty of everything. I don't deserve a healthy relationship. I don't deserve a good job. And I would repeat my cycle of being in toxic jobs, in toxic environments, in like places that weren't good for me, with friends that weren't good for me. And, once you realize this and you start seeing it, it's crazy because it's almost like you take like a blind that you had in your eyes, and now you can see clearly what's good for you and what's not good for you. Then we have the boundaries. So, and that comes with saying no as well. So boundaries are not about controlling other people. It's about what you want to be around, what energy you want to be a part of. You can negotiate, like, I don't know, somebody's talking to you in a way that you don't like. You can negotiate and be like, okay, this is triggering me. Can we do it another time or we're more calm? Sure. And then you negotiate, but it's not about controlling the other. It's about you. Okay, I don't like this. I'm going to say no. And then the people that usually people get upset at the beginning, but then they get used to it and they respect you. But the people that actually don't like it and that don't respect it are the people that get advantage of you not having any boundaries. Then the nonviolent communication is like my favorite theme of all times. So when you accuse somebody of something, they will get defensive, and then you won't have a good conversation or a good outcome of the conversation. But when you're open and you ask questions and you make an I statement, I feel like this is what's happening. Is this true? Then this other person opens too, and then you can have a nice, very productive conversation, as opposed to a defensive one where you're accusing and the other person is getting upset. So that is my favorite part and my favorite module of the program. And doing everything out of love. That comes with that. And at the end, you work on manifesting and designing your dreams. What do you actually want? What are you like not letting yourself dream, and how to get there? How to plan, make a plan, and just start step by step, and start doing it. So those are the 4 steps, and I hope that makes sense to you. And what I find in most of my clients is that knowing the first steps isn't enough. So how many of you have heard of some of these or all of this and have tried them, and you don't really get the result that you want and you go back to your old habits? You can go ahead and like raise your hand or say it in the chat. Okay. Exactly. So I just talked about the 4 steps to the emotional freedom, and these are some of the things that we do in my program and ways in which I work with my clients, and I do for myself 100%. But what's the missing piece? Like, the missing piece is basically being able to implement this in your life and have someone hold you accountable to actually doing it. because most of my clients know what they need to do to eat healthy and know that they need to work out, but why haven't they? Because something's blocking them from being able to do it. So if that's you and you feel like you know what to do and you just can't do it, then I'd invite you to take the next step with me where you'll get a personalized plan, what you need, only you, not me, not Victoria's. Accountability. So I'll be there telling you what's going on. Are you doing it? Are you not doing it? Implementing everything and troubleshooting. Say that you have a day where you have a step back and there's something that came up and we haven't seen it in the modules or in the calls, then how do you go about it? How do we troubleshoot that specific situation? So if that's you, then the Emotional Freedom Program might be a good fit for you. And if you can relate and you have tried everything, but you keep coming back to your old patterns and you can't seem to be able to regulate your emotions, you take things personally, you're not present, let me help you. So this is the coaching program. It's a 6-month coaching program that helps you break free from being controlled by your emotions. We provide everything you need to regulate your emotions, to get the help you need one-on-one, to feel supported in a loved and beautiful community of people, and to have the tools and know how to apply the tools. So if you're ready to take the next steps, you can apply now. You can scan the QR code, and there is a special discount for you guys if you're in the webinar. Spots are limited, so make sure that you book in your call today, and we'll look at where you're at now and where you want to go and what's in the way, and then explore it for a good fit for each other, and we'll help you solve your needs. All right, so I do want to get to the Q&A part. So these could be your prompts if you have any questions, or what did you learn? Do you have any comments? What were your biggest takeaways? And are you going to apply this? How are you going to apply this info into your life? I also took notes from your forums and the questions that you had there. But for now, you can just raise your hand and then I'll ask somebody to start if you guys want to start with your questions. Oh, look at the chat. I had a bad bus too. Brag, sister, brag. I hadn't seen this chat. Okay, Regina, go ahead, girl. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just wanted to, it's not so much a question, it's more of just a testimonial and also a big shout out to Veronica because I had the privilege and real opportunity to work with her the last couple months. And she's a real deal. You know, I really appreciate you, Veronica, because you show up and you are so authentic. And as a fellow coach myself, just going through life and going through some changes, you know, coaches need coaches, and athletes hire coaches. Dentists don't do their own teeth. Hairstylists don't cut their own hair. You know, like people need other people to thrive and rise. And so I just really appreciate all your effort, Veronica, and not just effort, but your leadership. It's awesome. And just seeing how you show up and shine, and even through all the challenges, you keep showing up, which is super cool. And I know
Oh,
your life's not perfect. You know, you're still human and you go through stuff like everybody else, and yet you're still um, you know, you still do it. So that's awesome.
thank you. Thank you so much, Regina. Yeah, Regina was part of my group and she was amazing. And I am so grateful for her. And now we're friends and we work out together. Yeah, that puppy. So cute.
Oh, Charlie's in the frame. Say hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. So cute. All right. Does
Thank
anyone else, thank you so much, Regina. Does anyone else have any other questions? Ana Maria, she's also part of the program, by the way. Go ahead, Ana, you're muted.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love the layout. I love what you're doing. I mean, you're improving and improving, and I'm so proud of it. I mean, you're doing great. And thank you, for the invite and everything. Well, with me, the program, it helps me a lot. And the other day I was thinking about something. This is more like a comment. I was thinking about, because I'm in the middle of a process that the people that were in the other program before, they know that I'm in the middle of remodeling my house, well, my little apartment. And for some reason, I thought it's going to be easier, and it's been really challenging. I think I have overdid myself a lot, like lifting heavy weight and all that. So I'm kind of sore. I'm in pain. I'm having a bad time. I think when you told me do the program because this is the perfect time, it was the perfect time. Because even though I struggled, like trying to get into the calls and everything, and doing everything that I was possibly, in the middle of everything that I was doing, I try to do as much as I can, at least, because I have another breakdowns, in all these days that we haven't talked or anything, but at least in my head, now I can realize that this is a process. I'm like, okay, this is not forever. You know what I mean? Because yes, I cry every day because I feel sore, and I feel, I'm very alone. Coincidentally, everybody got lost. So I've been feeling like, like abandoned by my friends and everything. But I don't know, for some reason, after the program, yes, I realized that this is a process, that it's not being easy, that I have to be easier on myself. Sometimes I talk to myself like a crazy woman, and I say, listen, mamita, you need to rest. You're so tired, you cannot do much, because the guilty part always comes. Yeah. Oh, you're thrown in bed and you're not doing anything with so much to do or whatever. But then at least I've been able lately to say, okay, you need to rest. You need to come on. I mean, you need to. So I've been more compassionate with me. Yes. And if something triggers me and I need to cry, then I cry, but then I try to get out of the hole. And my daughter told me something that it just sticks to my head. It says, you're in charge. What else you're going to do? So every time I feel like I'm not doing anything or whatever, or like I cannot do this no more, I don't want to keep on going, I'm like, okay, I'm in charge. If I don't do it, I need to do it, because nobody else is going to come and help me out with this. So I need to be strong. You know what I mean? But at least, yes, I realize that it's the process, that is not forever. It's not going to be forever, that I need to, gain strength, let myself be compassionate with me in the moments that I really can. So I think the program really, really helps me for that. And also to set boundaries. Finally, I ended up the relationship with my cousin. It was hurting me so bad. And also my relationship with all my family in Cuba. Never met him. Never were in my life. When finally I got like some kind of, let's say, interaction with them, it didn't feel right. I wanted to fit. I wanted to, and I couldn't do it. So I renounced. I just surrender myself and say, you know what? I'm Venezuelan. I never been in Cuba. This is not be my family like I've been part of ever. And they're toxic. They're hurting me. So I cut down everybody last week. Like I went on my Facebook and I just erased and more other people too, that I have nothing to do with them. So I really appreciate the program, because I think even though I'm having a very hard time and I cannot say no, I think I'm managing myself so well, like much better. Let's put it that way. Much better, and with more ease than before, thanks to you. So I recommend the program for everybody, though.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria. And I'm so sorry that you're going through that and all the pain, and I still see you not asking for help. Like
I have, but
okay.
But people is not there.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, there's
people.
there's other people. You have a community.
But no, well, I'm not gonna, I know that you're busy, so I haven't even think about you.
Well,
But I have a friend that actually she's been showing up and it's been a blast for me. So good and bad, right? Good
yeah.
and bad. I'm more focused also in the type of people that I want to be surrounded with,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you for, learning and knowing now like what your patterns are and like that guilt that you mentioned. And it's, you're in charge. I feel like it's not only about if you don't do it, nobody else is gonna do it. It's also about you're in charge of taking care of yourself and of putting your, mental, physical health first, and then doing everything that you need to do, making sure that you work, but you also rest as much as, you work, because then you're gonna go back and be emotionally dysregulated. And, that's also, you're in charge of that as well, right?
What do you think about sleeping pills?
Sleeping
What is
pills?
your opinion? I mean, not doing it like all the time, but if you really need to, like yesterday, I need to shut down. So I took half of a pill. And
Okay.
I think today I feel better physically with the pain and everything because I rest, I think 8 hours with just one step that I went to the bathroom. Normally, I wake up like every hour. So what
Yeah.
do you think about that?
Which sleeping pills are these?
I think lorazepam.
Okay. I'm not that familiar with it. What I do, like for example, last night I'm pet sitting and the alarm went off and I couldn't sleep anymore. I got melatonin, which is a sleeping pill, basically. And I don't do it as often because then your
Yeah, yeah,
body gets used to it,
you get hooked, yeah, with that.
and then you can't fall asleep on your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you need it, then you can use your resources as long as it's not an extreme, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But I'm not
Yeah.
an expert.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for sharing so much, and thank you for everything. I love that you set boundaries as well, even with your family. I recently did that as well. My parents called me yelling and I didn't understand why. And I was like, no, I am not gonna be in this conversation. Like, if you want to talk, we can talk. But if you're gonna yell and I have no idea what you're saying, I'm not gonna be a part of this. And they were basically trying to guilt trip me into going to an event with my nephew and stuff. And it was very interesting. And for them, it was so triggering. So they started being super toxic, and like calling me out on things and like insulting me. And it was like, wow. Like people that just are not used to boundaries, just it's worse for them when you do it. It's like it's a trigger. It triggers them. And well, the only thing that I would tell you to do, or that I did, was to remove yourself from the situation,
No, I
which,
did that because the only time that I say I couldn't do it, she took everything on her. You know what I mean? I was the bad one. The
yeah.
only time that I say I can't,
Mhm.
so that's it. I don't need that type of people no more. I
Yeah.
feel I went to a little guilt trip like for the first week. Like I
Mhm.
feel weird about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now every day that pass by, I feel relief. I feel just free.
Yeah, and like the first reaction is always going to come to us. Like that's the automatic. That's what we're built. We were built when we were like 7, and it stays, like the guilt tripping, but you see it and then you switch it. You're like, okay, this is my usual, which it happened to me too when I was guilt tripped by my parents, and I was like, felt so bad. I changed my plans because they guilt tripped me. And then I was like, you know what? It's not, it's the automatic reaction, but I'm not going to take it that way. I'm just going to take it like, they're projecting something. It's not about me. And they were. Basically, it was my nephew's baptism and they weren't invited. So, so I was the person for them to be there. I was the person, like I was there with them. No, they were there with me, right? By me being there. So I understood that, and I analyzed it. I went to coaching, I did all these things. And then it was like, okay, now I allow myself to not feel guilty about it and just move on and do the best out of the situation, you know, and that sometimes is removing yourself from it. But so proud of you. You're being so brave, and I can see all your growth, and I'm like very grateful for you. Of
Thank you, Vero.
course. So I had other, does anyone else want to share? It's okay if not. I had some questions from the forums. From great content. Okay. All right. Bye, Regina. Thank you for coming. So someone said how to stop getting in your own way. So you first need to understand your patterns and why you're fearful or why you're procrastinating. And that's one of the things that we work to, like Maria, for example, she's like a big procrastinator, and she discovered that that came from out of fear. So she feared that if she was going to do this task, then she was going to get rejected. It was not going to get the results that she wanted. So she would, you know, put it off and put it off and put it off until it was too late and she lost the opportunity. So, you know, like I said, the whole presentation, everyone is different, and you need to figure out the reason why you're getting in your own way, and, you know, how to make the action steps to use the discipline and the consistency and do it with fear. Just show up and, you know, what is it that you're not, like, that you're blocking yourself from doing? Why are you getting in your own way? And then making like even an anchor when this happens, and then just remember that anchor and do the opposite. What other questions did I have? Okay, this is a good one. So how do I ignore triggers, other people's stories, incidents, accidents impacting my own growth and regulation? So that sounds to me like maybe you're hypersensitive or empathetic. And basically everything that happens around you, you take personally. My partner is like that. I can't tell him about, you know, a person on the internet that bullied me because he takes it personally and he doesn't want to hear it. He's so upset. And it's not about you. It's not. So the important work here is to understand what is personal and what's not personal, and then separate yourself from feeling what you're feeling. That happens to me with movies. I don't know if that happens to you guys. Where like I can't see a terror movie. Like I'm so afraid, like if I were in the movie, but my partner doesn't have that. So we each have our special aspect where we take it personally and we make ourselves like live what the person is living. But that usually, you know, it's good for some things, but it's usually not very productive. So there are so many ways, and in the program we work on this as well, to separate those things and realize what it is that this is telling you and why you're taking it personally, and how to just have an anchor as well to just keep it like control your emotions as well, you know? So that was a great question. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. If anyone else wants to say something or to share something or has any questions, let me know. If not, remember to book your call today and you'll have a free gift. In all of my products, I also have a one-on-one program. So this one is the group one, and I have Emotional Freedom one-on-one. If you're shyer and you don't want to, more shy, and you don't want to share with other people and you want to be prioritized and do the work privately with me, that's also an option, and you get the same discount there as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for being
Thank you,
here.
Vero.
Grateful for
Thank you for sharing for being vulnerable and sharing your story. You did an amazing job.
Thank you, Gracie. You're awesome. I love you.
Yes, Edo, thank you so much for everything, for real.
Thank you,
Glad to be,
Anna.
glad to be able to be
Thank
here
you.
today.
It was great.
Thank you, Vicky. All right, you guys.
Give me a
Well,
hello every now and then.
what?
Give me
Sorry?
a hello. Give me a call.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
We're
You
so
were with your brother, so I didn't wanna.
Oh yeah, he left
He's
already.
gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Start
everyone, for
seeing everybody
being here.
here. Thank you for everything. Have a great night, everybody, and happy long weekend.
Bye, guys. See you on the other side.